This haunting painting captures the final tender embrace between two lovers, Soni and Mahiwal, just before they meet their untimely deaths by drowning in the river. Now, if you see the lush flesh tones, the tender embrace, and the brilliant lighting choices that are used by Sobha Singh, the painter, you begin to understand why this painting has touched the lives of millions of Indians. And in fact, today, even the younger folk, when they do young folk things like post on Reddit, they write about how they remember seeing prints of this painting in their homes, in their living rooms, kitchens, and stuff like that. Now, the thing about a great piece of art that it can only be made by the creator. This painting had to come from Sobha Singh. Sobha Singh was very committed to beauty, and this is because he had a tragic life. Now, he used to live in Lahore right at the time of partition when India and Pakistan became two separate countries. Over 2 million people lost their lives during that event. And Sobha Singh, he had an artist's soul. He was horrified by the acts of violence. So in India, we have a saying called Satyam Shivam Sundaram, which means truth, the Lord Shiva, and beauty. And Sobha Singh flipped that to say Sundaram Satyam Shivam, where he put beauty as the foremost thing. And he was committed to only showing acts of beauty, which is why in this painting, he chose to focus on the embrace between the two lovers before they died, rather than focus on the actual drowning itself. But then, why did these people drown in the river? Now here's the beautiful love story. Soni is this enchanting woman in this village, and she's the potter's daughter. And Izzat Beg is this businessman. He happens to be walking through the village. He sees Soni and he falls madly in love with her. So then he pretends to be someone poor and he becomes a cowherd called Mahiwal. And Mahiwal literally means the herder of cows. And Mahiwal starts spending more and more time with Soni, and then, they fall in love and stuff like that. Then, it's a small village and scandal begins to spread. And Soni's father does something that many Indian fathers have been known to do when faced with such moments of crisis. They talk to their daughter, understand their feelings, and they ask, hey, what's really going on with you? Let me understand you at a deeper level. That's not what most Indian fathers do. What Soni's dad did was get her arranged marriage to this other nincompoop of a man, and Soni's stuck in this loveless marriage. But she's enamored with Mahiwal and she still goes to meet him across the river. Now, she's not a champion swimmer and all, so she has this pot of baked clay and she puts that in the water, and the pot, and the pot bobs in the water due to a phenomenon known as buoyancy, which we shall not cover in this video. But then she goes across the water and she meets Mahiwal. And this keeps happening night after night, and the scandal spreads, and the women come to Soni and say, hey, what's up, woman? What are you doing? And Soni says, many are the streams that flow before me. Right ahead is the mighty Chenab River. If you saw Mahiwal's face, you too would jump in with your pots. And Soni has a sister-in-law who's quite an evil person. So what she does is one day she takes Soni's pot of baked clay and substitutes it with a pot of unbaked clay. And even if you look at this painting, you see that the clay is melting, is dissolving in the water. And Soni jumps in the river and the pot starts to dissolve. And she says, and she realizes that she's going to drown. And in this moment, she has a realization that this was always meant to happen. And she says, I am a pot of unbaked clay, bound to melt away in the water. And then Mahiwal sees her drowning, and then like a good man, he jumps in the water trying to save her. But the Chenab River is a very strong river, and it pulls them in and takes them to their watery grave. So in this painting, Sobha Singh was trying to show us something beautiful. He was showing us that in their real lives, they might have been parted, but in this painting, they are united forever and ever. Now, why has this painting continued to touch the hearts of millions of Indians and people around the world? Because in a world that's becoming more and more transactional, be it in the way we interact with others at restaurants, in the post office, at work, and yes, sometimes even in matters of love, people see this painting as a reminder of how things can really be, where you fall in love with someone and your love is so powerful that it breaks through the physical realm of bodies, and like some Sufi mystic from the past, it merges with the divine. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like watching videos on Indian history, mythology, and Buddhism, please consider subscribing for this channel. At any rate, I hope to see you again. And all I want to say is have a wonderful 7 days and enjoy the week that lies ahead. Bye.